Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed this week's excerpt of the week where we discuss the pros and cons of using our palm key and front key options to address our high F. And by the end of this video, we'll discuss a secret third option that might get us out of some tricky spots. We often ask each other, what fingerings are we using to get through these tricky technical passages? But it's also important to consider the question of why. It's about finding the right tool for the right job, and I usually like to frame the problem area by identifying the approach, the arrival, and the departure. In the opening section of Blumenstengel's Etude, which begins Landex's collection of violin pieces adapted for saxophone, we see this leap from a high B to a high F. And here we have two conventional fingering options. We either prioritize ease of access to the high F through our palm keys, or we seek a full resonant sound through our front keys to highlight this high point in the gesture and phrase. The arrival. Upon further analysis, we learn that this high F is actually the chordal seventh of the implied dominant seventh that happens in this moment. So if we follow our palm key fingerings, we have a couple of options to leave some keys off to better tune this chord to find harmonic resolution across the measure. This first example will play the fingerings as normal. The second will play with the harmonic context and altered fingerings. The departure. So following this high F, we have a high D. So if we're already in the palm key fingering system, there's less risk of extraneous movement if we were shifting across these systems in this particular instance. This isn't to say that you want to ride or die with team palm key or team front key, because different problems require different solutions. So just as Batman is prepared for every situation with all the tools he's bringing in his utility belt, it's important that you bring your wealth of musical experience so that you're informing your technical approaches to support your interpretive decisions. Let's talk about a third secret option for the high F that is available on saxophones that have a high F sharp key. During my studies at the University of Toronto, my teacher Wallace Halliday had us go through a 12-week interval course. And when we got to minor thirds, I had to figure out how to quickly tremolo between a high D and a high F. And that's pretty clunky through either fingering system. And what we discovered is if you start with your high D and add your high F sharp key, you have a pretty convincing high F. So we are able to tremolo very quickly between these two notes. Not only that, but it provides you another pathway to leap through these intervals without having to rely on the palm key system or the front key system. How neat is that?